There is a fifth dimension, beyond that which is known to man. It is a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition, and it lies between the pit of man's fears and the summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call the Twilight Zone.
We're back. That was a loud
Wow.
one. That one was loud.
I think you just.
I was so excited.
I think you broke the.
Finally.
It went into the red.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if it cracked. Wow, your voice is louder than mine on this one.
I need to. Okay, here we go.
We're back.
Yeah.
There it is,
Yeah,
huh?
we are back.
Wow, what a journey. Purple Pill Show. I am the code, and this is my partner.
Tim. T-Pause. Team. I
Tim-
don't know.
Tim
what
Bot-
did we ever decide?
Tim Bot Das is what I like.
Bot DOS? Bot DOS.
Yeah, you like Bot Dos some days and Bot Das on others. Bot Das goes with your, your 8-bit tattoo of
Yeah.
Pusher. That's why I always thought it was DOS. Computers,
For real?
8-bit. Yeah,
Okay.
Tim Bot.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tim Bot.
Let's go.
Oh, welcome back, everybody. Wow. What happened, huh?
Season 3.
It is season 3. Well, we have to call it season 3 because it's been 3 months with no new episodes.
Right.
So that's what we're doing.
That's our excuse. What's yours?
Welcome to season 3, everybody. The last episode, Everything Must Go. Boy, everything did go.
Yeah.
Everything
man,
went
that's-
right to-
Wow, that's so weird that we did that closing episode on season 2. And a lot of things went right after that.
A lot of things went. Too many things went. And we'll get into all of it.
Throughout the season, probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's probably never gonna. It's probably the Dark Saga. Anyway, the title of the episode.
That's so funny. When you call me, I'm always asking you, what's the update on the saga?
The Saga. This episode is called "This Is Love."
Okay.
This is love.
I feel like we had an episode called Love in the first season.
We do.
Or something.
We do.
Light love.
We did.
Yeah.
Love and light.
and energy.
Yeah.
Right? This
Right.
one is just, this is love.
I mean, this is going to be love, and it's going to be a different take on it.
Yeah.
The take that not everybody is used to. But first, we're going to get into something a little more fun. Well, the subject's going to be fun too, but
Mandela?
yeah,
Are we
we're going to
doing
get into,
Mandelas?
we're going to get into a, but I'm going to switch it up though. We're going to do an individual Mandela effect. Okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
we know the big Mandela effects. They drive us all
Yeah.
nuts. Mirror, mirror on the wall.
I hate
Right.
that one.
But it's not. It's magic mirror. Anyway, I know. I hate that one too. But we're going to do individual. So what things have changed in your individual life since you know, whatever timeline you started out in, and then what's different now?
Okay.
But first, first we got to say always our big out in case anyone gets
Oh, yeah.
upset.
Yes.
This is the show. This is the show.
Do it before they start calling.
Right. This is the show where we suspend our beliefs on what was and what is. And we use our imagination on what is and what could be. So we can transcend the Matrix, hack the 3D, and exit the Truman Show. Okay. So the
That's our parental advisory
yeah, that's the
sticker from the
what did you
cassette.
call it before? It was like that's our out or it's our plausible deniability.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the individual Mandela effect. Okay, so I'm outside in the winter. I'm in the backyard. I'm, giving gratitude. I'm talking to God. I'm talking to my loved ones in the other dimension. I'm communing with nature. And in the wintertime in Los Angeles, you can see the stars finally.
Yeah.
There's rain all the time, and the cold kind of sweeps it away. I don't know what the deal is, but in the winter, the stars are pretty bright. You can see some stars, even in Los Angeles. And so I've been noticing, it's usually after dinner, kids are in the bath, et cetera, and I'm in the backyard, and I'm looking up in the sky, and I see this star, and it's so bright, but it's so different. Okay, so when I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut, and so then I was into astronomy, and I went to camp every summer, and they had
Learned a few constellations.
absolutely, and we had the telescope up there at camp, very powerful with the science guy, you know, like the Bill Nye type, and we'd look at all the stars. I went to astronaut camp too. We went to the Griffith Observatory and looked through the big telescope at stars, et cetera, et cetera. And every star in the sky was the same color, with the exception of Mars, which was like an orangish red.
Red,
okay?
yeah, but the red planet.
The conventional wisdom is that every star is basically white / gray, silverish, white, and it shimmers a little bit. It twinkles.
Right.
It's not blinking. Right. It's not like it's like a left
every once
turn.
in a while. It twinkles.
Yeah, it twinkles, but not a blink. Right. Like a blink is like you're turning left. Right.
Off
That's what
and
a
on.
blink. Right.
It's off
Bump,
and on.
bump.
Yeah.
Or it's just, and it's really bright. I mean, it's blinking. Right. These are just kind of twinkling, shimmering.
Right.
So anyway, but now in this new timeline, remember we're always shifting.
Yeah.
In this new timeline, there's this star. And it's up in that sky, man, and it is blinking. It's first off, it's not even twinkling. It's
blinking.
You know, as you said, off and on. So it doesn't turn off, but it's definitely not twinkling. So what's the other term? It's just rapid. It's like it looks like a rave. I mean, this star
right.
is literally turning red, yellow, blue, green, pink, purple, all the colors of the rainbow.
It's like an LED light show, like at a rave.
It looks like a rave light in the sky. Okay, now, and I'm going, what is going now? I've been sober for 66 days. Okay,
yeah,
and there's nothing going on. Okay, I haven't even had a beer after work, nothing like that. Okay,
I know.
So I'm white as rain. That's what we call totally legit.
White rain sober.
White rain,
yeah,
we've been saying that. White rain sober. Okay, and so I'm looking in the sky and I'm going, well, you know, it can't be anything. I can't be tripping because I'm as sober as it gets. And this thing is blinking. I mean, I'm just picturing like you did with the Beats. I mean, I'm picturing Moby playing up in the heavens or something.
It looked like Paul Oakenfold when I came over here.
And so I'm thinking to myself, I go, my God, and I wanted to be an astronaut, astronomer. I've never noticed. How come no one's ever showed me the multicolored LED, blinking star in the sky? I mean, if this star is blinking so many different, and so then I look at all the other stars, and guess what? They're gray, silverish white.
Right.
And they're barely, they're twinkling.
Yeah.
And then I go back to this star, and it's just
right.
Right? They're checking IDs at the door. Everyone's trying to get in. I mean, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
St. Michael's the bodyguard. Just let me see. Maybe you dance with your dates. And I'm just going, this is so strange. How come every telescope is not focused on this? How come there isn't, Wednesday night, look at the star. We're going to look at Sirius, the multicolored LED blinking star. So I want to challenge, because the old timeline, there's only one star in the sky that's a different color. That's Mars.
Yeah.
And it's reddish. Orange. And sometimes the moon changes color, blood moon and orange moon, things like that. But there's nothing like this. And so I invited you over. Remember, you came over to hang out on a Friday, and I took you in the backyard. I showed it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first I took video and sent it to you. You're going, What is that? Then I showed it to you. Is it not blinking? Can you just be can you verify this?
Yeah, no, it was like pulsating.
Right.
That's what I would call it.
Right.
It wasn't shutting off like a blinker, like off and on,
sure.
off and on.
Sure.
It was just pulsating.
Pulsating sounds like the better word.
It was, and dimmer. Like a light on a dimmer switch. Like if you have a dimmer switch in your house, you go dim to bright, like that. It was like something like that. But it was
looks
changing colors. That's the crazy thing about it. It would go like red, orange, and then there was even like some blues and greens.
Yeah, yellows. I brought the
it was
kids out.
trippy.
I brought the kids out. I showed them.
Yeah.
They go, it is blinking. It is changing colors. I mean, it literally looks like something you buy at Hot Topic or
Right.
Spencer's.
Yeah.
You know, the party store.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Like
just
one of those
wild.
LED
That
strip
never
lights or something.
Yes, that never existed in the old timeline. Okay, can everybody just take a step back?
I
and
don't
just admit
remember ever
this?
seeing that as a kid.
And
I
if-
remember seeing like a really bright star and going, "Oh, that must be the North Star," or because in pictures growing up in children's books, there's always that one star.
Oh yeah, the North Star,
You know,
the Jesus is Born
on
star.
on the page where it's night sky, there's always that one star. It's like the brightest.
Right,
Oh, that's the North Star.
right. I mean, that's conventional wisdom. That's what I heard.
Right.
So Tim looked this up. Not only is the North Star not the brightest star anymore, but the LED DJ star Sirius. Okay, so look this up. The star is called Sirius, and Wikipedia, in typical 3D fashion, when we shift a timeline, there has to be a rationalization. Well, Sirius has always been up there, and
Oh yeah, it's got a
The
visual apparent magnitude of minus 1.46. And,
right. What does it say? Why does it change color?
well, it's okay. Its name is derived from Greek, right? Meaning glowing or scorching. The star is designated Canis Majoris, right? With a visual apparent magnitude of minus 1.46, Sirius is almost twice as bright as Canopus, the next brightest star. So it's twice as bright as Canopus. And Polaris is the North Star.
Right.
What'd you read about that one? It's
Okay.
part of a
yeah,
constellation.
yeah.
I
So
think it's probably an Orion.
Yeah, here's another part of this individual Mandela effect, right? So we're looking at this Sirius. Apparently, Sirius is now, the LED DJ star, is now the brightest star in the sky. Meanwhile, in the old timeline, it was clearly the North Star. That's why all the ships would base their navigation on it, right? Because that was the brightest star. You could see it the easiest. You could point it out.
You could know it was that
Right.
because it's in a constellation. Oh,
Right.
there's the other star. Oh, that must be.
Yeah, right, because that's the brightest one.
Right.
But now in the new timeline, the North Star is not the brightest star. It's only the brightest star in its individual constellation. And it says in Wikipedia that most people can see it with the naked eye. It's attached to the Little Dipper. But if it's not the brightest star in the sky, why would you use that one for navigation? Why wouldn't you just use Sirius? Or some other bright star? I mean, apparently, this thing is so downgraded now. The North Star, it says it's not the brightest star. It's simply the brightest one in its constellation.
Right.
Why aren't we using the Paul Oakenfold star? He's an electronic dance artist. Why aren't we using the Rave star?
Yeah. And that's the one that's visible from most of the planet.
Which one?
Sirius.
Wait, hold on. Okay. So Sirius is the brightest, and Sirius is the one that's most visible across the entire planet.
Yes.
That used to be the North Star, guys.
Right.
Okay, and we just stumbled upon this because I saw the rave in heaven happening, and I'm just going, this isn't normal. And so now we're looking into it as we're recording the episode, and it's getting even weirder. So the North Star, the one that all the sailors use for navigation for millennia, that now is not only not the brightest star, but is attached to one of the smallest constellations, and you can, see it most of the time with the naked eye, it says. However, Sirius is the brightest, and according to the Wikipedia that Tim's reading right now, it is the one star that can be seen over the entire planet.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just read
God.
that.
Oh, God. Well, none of it makes sense then. Then why is the North Star even a thing?
I don't know.
Now, the North Star is totally irrelevant.
Right.
Just get on the bench. We're putting in Sirius. We need to score threes. The clock's running out. Anyway, you guys got to find out where Sirius is. You got to go out there and look. Not early in the night, but like around, last night I was out there. It was like 11 o'clock. And that thing was, okay, this is the other thing. So in December and January, it was flashing, just the colors of the rainbow. Solid reds, blues, yellows, et cetera. It's greens. Okay. But now, last night, it's changed in the sky, right? Now we're going into spring. And I noticed it's not in its usual spot. So I found it over to the right side of where I usually look. And guess what colors it's blinking now or flashing now? Now the colors are turquoise and pastel yellow, pastel red, back to turquoise, pastel pink. So I'm not kidding you, folks. The colors now are blinking pastel like Easter egg colors or Easter colors, right? Because pastel is for Easter. And then Easter's in 2 weeks. And now the stars blinking. They're having some kind of Easter party at the rave up in the heavens.
Well, here, get this. This is kind of interesting. Sirius appears bright because of its intrinsic luminosity and its proximity to our solar system.
Oh, it's
right?
intrinsic luminosity. Huh?
So luminosity is an absolute measure of radiated electromagnetic energy per unit time.
So this is the rationalization of why this thing flashes different colors. Meanwhile, if it has something to do with the Earth's atmosphere and the luminosity, why isn't, you would think there's a lot of stars, right? There's more than we can ever count. And so why wouldn't some other stars be blinking?
Right.
Why isn't it just Christmas tree lights up in the sky? It's the only one that has that luminosity with that electromagnetic energy. It just sounds like an overcompensation.
It is tied to the electromagnetic energy that's emitted from our planet.
Okay, well then that would apply to all the stars, in my opinion.
It should.
It seems like it would, but there's only one club in heaven, okay, and it's Sirius, baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get there.
It was really fun. But, on the other hand, it's another sign and waypoint that the ascension continues.
Right. The mountain's moving.
We're still moving that direction, folks. Okay. That was fun. Go check it out.
Yeah.
You'll love that. You won't be able to take your eyes off it.
I would encourage you to just go outside and look at it from a hilltop.
At
night, it's pretty trippy.
A lot of the listeners are in places where the stars really pop.
Yeah, what about all these rings that are showing up too around
the moon,
the sun even?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you know what? Let's save that for the next time.
All right.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
That'll be a fun topic.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so this is love. Let's get right into it.
All right.
So the first thing we're going to start with is going to be, and you have this, right? The Corinthians 13, 4-8.
I don't have Corinthians.
Okay, I'll do it. Yeah. So this is love. So we're going to start out with, what does the master say love is?
Here it is.
What's the good book say?
Yeah, this is Corinthians 4. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always preserves. Love never fails.
There it is. Okay, now, right. So love is all these things, right? And you read this, you've seen this before, you've heard this before on, they make framed pictures with this in it. Whether you're into reading the Bible, whether you're not, everyone kind of understands and agrees across all faiths, spiritual friends, you name it, that this is the definition of love.
Yes.
And
yes.
So this verse kind of evokes this rainbow and unicorn type idea, this idealization of love, right?
Yeah.
However, if God is love and love perseveres, like it says, right? It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres.
Yeah.
Love never fails. And then if we take the other idea that God works all things for our good.
Yes.
Right? Then love must also look dark at times, right? So when you take this thing piece by piece.
Well, it's all a matter of perception.
Right. Well, it's all a matter of the individual and what they're going through in the moment, right?
Because this right here, it says love does not delight in evil.
Right.
But rejoices in truth.
No, absolutely. But
so it may look dark.
but it's leading you to the truth.
But it's God's will, so it's not.
Right, it can't
Obviously.
be.
It's light.
So when you, right. So when you, when you look at this thing, when you break it down, right? So love is patient.
Yes.
Love is kind. And so, you know, love is patient, love is kind. Okay, great. Patient. And so we can think of these things in the sense of, you know, when you were going through your life event, right? And you were going through your struggle with addiction. I remember friends and family reaching out to me. We're best friends, reaching out to me and kind of walking me through all the different steps that they've done for you, whether it was give you money or give her a place to sleep or pick you up from a street corner or take you to a rehab that you just manipulated somebody and then came back out of, or whether you had to go to the hospital because you wanted to, you know,
many people
type the code in so you could steal from the nurse's station. Right.
Yeah.
So they would,
oh my God, someone brought that up last week.
They were calling me and I was doing things too. You were coming over to my house. I was helping you move. I was doing all these different things and giving you a shoulder cry on, trying to, you know, and I accepted you as you were, you know, with no judgment. And, you know, because hanging out with you, whether you were going through your troubles or not, was always a good time because I love you so much.
Thanks, buddy.
Right. However, when they're asking me, well, what's the next step? He's not doing this, right? He's not taking these other steps. He's basically manipulating us and using our kindness to keep using. And so I told him, you know,
which is totally normal in addiction, by the way.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I mean, no one's going to change unless they're ready and willing to change.
Right. And so how do we get you to that spot where you're ready and willing to change? Well, that's when all the safety nets are gone. Right? Because at some point, helping the person, you know, as the outside looking in, we're not in your position. You know, we're trying to help you. We think it's help.
There's a fine line between helping and enabling.
Right. That's what we want to discuss is that we're patient with our help. We're kind by helping.
Right.
However, stopping. So I would tell them, I think the next step is we have to cut off all contact and we have to let him
sever the relationship
and let him fall as far as he wants to fall.
Right.
And, you know, it was this big ghastly thing. Oh my God, that's horrible.
And by the way, this is not just, I mean, I know we're using me as an example, but it's not just with addiction. This is with any codependent relationship, you know, people depending on each other for something.
Yes, and it gets toxic.
One or the other's enabling them in a certain way.
Right. Whether it's to be too comfortable or whether whether you feel trapped by your life situation, whether it's a job or kids or whatever it may be.
It could be kids and a parent, you know, like, oh, you could stay here and live here as long as you get your feet on.
Could be
the kids ends up staying there till they're 40 or whatever.
Right.
Know what I mean?
So you know, what's that fine line between helping and enabling? So I had to make a stand and just tell your mom, your ex-wife, you know, all these different people, the best thing we can do right now is cut off all contact to protect ourselves, right? Because your phone calls and your reaching out breaks our heart. I mean, it's heart-wrenching to have to say no to you at that point. I remember doing it.
Yeah.
And so we have to be patient. So that's where this comes back full circle is love is patient, love is kind. So at some point, not enabling you, not, or whatever situation you may be in.
Well, right here, it says in verse 5, it does not dishonor others.
Right. And by enabling you, it would be dishonoring you.
Right.
So you have to pinpoint, everyone has their own wall. Everyone has their own point where they're like, you know what? That my patience has run out. This is hurting both of us. Mm-hmm. Right. And so someone has got to
let go,
make a decision. Someone's got to let go. Now, when we stop enabling you, when we cut off all contact, we cut off all money, we cut off any place for you to rest your head, we cut off all that, then we have to be patient to see what's going to happen. We were preparing for you to pass away. We were preparing for some kind of catastrophic injury. We were also preparing for you to get your head out of your ass and go to rehab and finally, and you went to rehab multiple times, but to finally see it through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So is that love? Absolutely it is. Is that kind? Allowing a person to see their destiny all the way, whatever destiny they've chosen. For you, it was drug addiction, but some people it's anger management. Some people it's depression. Some people it's bipolar. Some people it's, an inflated ego or kind of a,
in some ways, though, it's like
egomaniac is what I should say.
It's allowing God's will to work out rather than your will.
Yes,
submitting to God's will rather than imposing your own will.
Yeah, like
with
slowing down
with a person, and that's love.
Yeah, by helping, sometimes you're slowing down God's hand by taking control of the wheel, right? And as soon as you let that go, you have to trust God and just trust that, look, you've already done everything you could.
Yeah.
You've talked it through. You've helped them with getting into a rehab.
So many people would come out and just pick me up like, I'm going to save you, and take me to a hospital.
Where there's tons
where they would, I'd go through the whole rigmarole, the gown, the banana bag, like, and then, and
everyone pities you.
Yeah, and I just polished off a bottle of vodka, so I'm like, all right, let's go. Here we go again. And then I'd get to the hospital, and as soon as I start getting those, shakes, I'd be like, and start realizing where I was, and I didn't have my bottle next to me, bro. Like, I'd straight up, I remember this one time, I told the doctor, I'm like, do I have to be here? He's like, no. I'm like, well, I'm out of here. And I just ripped the IVs out and just left. And that happened on more than one occasion.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. And I just find myself walking, sometimes miles, just to get a bottle and get back to, my loneliness, so
that's it, right? So letting you fall, and you wouldn't, okay. The other thing is, we know it's love by cutting you off, by not enabling you.
Mm-hmm.
We allowed you to fulfill that addiction destiny, and we were patient. That is patience, and that is kind.
Yes.
Because holding a person to your own expectations is not kind. Holding you when you want to be an addict and you want to use, and we're holding you to this idealized version of you.
It's hurting me. That's not love.
No, it's not love. It's possessiveness, and it's not kind.
Yeah.
So love is patient, love is kind. Sometimes letting the person fulfill their destiny, whether bad, good, or indifferent, it's not up to you to judge. That is patience. That is kind. That is kindness.
Right.
Letting people
it is not self-seeking.
It is not right. That's where the possessiveness comes in.
Right.
Right. I don't want to let him go because I love him or her. I don't want to let them go because they're going to die. You're putting all these, you don't know the future. We don't know if you were going to die.
Right.
You didn't. And now you're the best version of yourself. If so,
right.
It proved itself. If we didn't do that, if I didn't talk to your mom and if we all didn't come together and decide that's what was going to happen, you wouldn't be here right now.
Oh, 100%.
And you're the better
God's
version.
delay is not God's decision.
Right.
Okay. That's where that patience comes in.
Right.
With his will. Like, thy will be done. It's like,
and
I have a hard time accepting that. All the time. Because, man, I'm only human and I'm very impatient.
Oh, I'm the most impatient too. I am too. Love is patient. Love is kind. And just like the prodigal son, right? When the son wants to leave, he wants to take his inheritance and leave and go party in New York or whatever,
yes.
Vegas, with the concubines.
He's banging.
Yeah, right. But no point in that story does the father go, wait, don't go. You're making a big mistake.
Right.
He just lets him go.
Yeah.
And trusts it.
And when he comes back, he slaughters the fat cow.
Yeah,
dude.
right.
Remember that?
But the point is, he lets him go.
Yeah.
He doesn't try to stop him.
And then once he comes, rejoice.
So that's respect too, right? Okay, then we got, so love is patient, love is kind. We showed that in the 3D world, letting you go, and they would say that's not patience. You should enable him until he gets it, right?
Yeah.
But no, that's not love because that's self-seeking. So love is patient, love is kind, right? Now we got, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, right? So what does that look like? So it does not envy, meaning you're at a job, you want to get ahead because the guy ahead of you makes more money or whatever. That's not what's going to get you ahead. That's not love for, remember, you got to love your neighbor. You got to love your enemy, right? So how can you do that? You can't envy them. You want to be the manager. You want to make more money, but this guy's in front of you. So you're envious of their paycheck, or you don't like them personally, but they're ahead of you.
Sure.
So you can't be envious at all, because you have to trust that you're where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, it always protects, it always trusts, always hopes, always preserves.
It does not boast, it is not proud. So the guy in the $1,000 suit walking around all the time, and I had this in sales jobs in different companies I worked for. Some of the heavy hitters. Now, I did very well in sales, but at the same time, I'd have better numbers than this other guy. I'd keep my mouth shut and wait for the manager to be like, hey, you did a really great job. Meanwhile, some of the other guys are in there, pounding their chests and shouting from the hills. And this goes also to, when you pray, do it in your closet and not out in the streets.
Oh,
Remember where the master tells us to do that? Don't be running around.
The Sadducees
going, I did this and I did that.
Out there boasting, praying on the street corner.
And so when you do envy these things, when you do envy, when you do boast, when you are proud, you are not loving. You're violating the law of love.
Right.
And everyone's guilty of that at some point.
It does not delight in evil, but rejoices in truth.
It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. And
that's hard to do.
Yeah, right.
People love festering resentments, dude.
I know. It's a bad deal.
It's all about, it's hard to forgive. It's very easy to apologize. It's pretty difficult to forgive.
Yeah, you can apologize and then even not mean it, and the other person's kind of like, okay, yeah, well, they said sorry.
Right.
Everyone likes that sorry. It's kind of a quick Band-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
It's that cut that you put the Band-Aid on and you think that it's going to heal underneath the Band-Aid, and then you pull it off 3 days later, you're like, oh, I should have took the Band-Aid off a long time ago because the scab never formed. Now it's moist. and now it's opened even more and discolored. It's green. You got to cut your arm off. The Band-Aid's only good for like that day,
Yeah.
That's like a sorry. But forgiveness is really healing. And I wanted to get into that.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. So, over the last 3 months, I lost a best friend of mine, a person that I love more than any human I've ever loved. And I still love them. And so I lost this best friend, and I've been really, and so in this process, I found out that I've got some things within me that I need to work out, right? Everything must go.
Yeah.
And so I've been on this ascension path for like 2021, so 3 years. And I thought I was doing really good. And then this losing my best friend has really kind of put to the forefront some things I didn't think were there. And the two main things that have really come out from this are jealousy. They're going to be best friends with somebody else. I don't get to talk to them. I don't get time with them anymore. And so I have jealousy, and then I have resentment.
Right.
And the resentment and the jealousy together have just been an absolute
been tested.
Terror for my mind.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute...
That's an understatement.
Yeah. So it's been an absolute terror for my mind. And I thought, gosh, I'm not really a jealous person. I don't think, it turns out I am, but I never saw myself as a jealous person.
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
not-
I've never
you know?
really, I never would have said that.
Right.
you
And I'm
know,
not very
historically
I'm not
knowing
very-
you.
Yeah.
You're not. You're just not.
Yeah, but everything must go. So if you even have a speck, turns out it's pretty large when it comes to this best friend of mine. It's huge. And then the resentment of, for lack of a better term, not being loved by my best friend
Yeah.
anymore, or maybe loved from afar. Who knows what it is? But I really had to kind of realize, like, this is horrible. You know, this resentment and jealousy.
Yeah.
It's not allowed.
Well, I mean, that
I'm you know, we're trying to bring the kingdom to earth, and
right.
I've got this
And
jealousy
you just
and
brought
resentment.
hell to earth.
Yes.
I mean, it goes both ways.
Yes,
You
this
can
possessiveness.
create a hell that you're in here too. You can create the kingdom.
you can
here
create the kingdom. You
and
can bring
now,
it.
or you can create hell
Right.
here and now.
And it's insidious. It creeps up on you. This jealousy and this resentment, you know, it's like, how do you get rid of it, right? And so, you know, there's this conventional wisdom that if you love something, you have to let it go, right?
Yes.
So this is love. So if you love something, you have to let it go.
If it comes back.
Well, no, that's the spin. Okay. Yeah. That's the spin. If it comes back to,
I've always heard that.
Yeah,
If you
so-
love something, set it free.
If you-
If
yeah,
it
yeah, right.
comes back, it's meant to be. Right.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
if you love something, let it go. If it comes back to you, it's yours. However, if it doesn't come back to you, so just forget that second part.
Right.
If you love something, period, let it go. Okay.
That's it.
That's it. You have to let it go.
Let go and let God.
Right.
That's it.
You have to let it go because possessiveness and, you know, it comes back to this it will lead to jealousy. It is boastful to think you possess something. And so you have to let it go. However, you can't let it go. You can't. So if you love something, let it go, right? How do you let it go if you have resentment and jealousy or anger or something negative? So the only way to let go of something that you love is to forgive.
Right. That's the key.
Because anger holds you to something. Jealousy holds you to something, right? Resentment or revenge holds you to that thing. So now you're wondering, do I even love this thing? Right? What is love? Love is patient. So I'm going to let my best friend go and be patient that they're going to be on their own journey. And that is kindness. And to be jealous or possessive and have resentment,
Right.
you know, that's evil. I mean, that's not letting something go. That's not letting someone fulfill their destiny.
Right.
You'd still be in the cycle of addiction.
Oh, I'd be dead.
My best friend and I would still be in a cycle of codependency and
Right.
loss of self. Mm-hmm. You know?
I want to say this about this forgiveness thing,
Yeah.
because that's the key.
It truly is.
The great thing about that too, that I've found over the, just my journey is the forgiveness thing is more, it's about you. It has nothing to do with
Yeah.
the person at all. Like, it doesn't matter, they don't even have to know. Sometimes I've forgiven people and they're like, for what? And, they don't even have to know what it's for.
Right.
It doesn't even matter.
Right.
It's an inside job. Like, I
Right.
forgive you.
I forgive you because
Like, I don't know what
forgive
I did wrong. Well, you hurt me, obviously,
Yeah.
or else I wouldn't be forgiving you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So-
And that hurt made me hurt you, whether you know it or not, with my
Yeah.
jealousy,
So
with my
whether the
resentment.
person accepts the forgiveness or not, it's totally
Right.
irrelevant.
That is irrelevant.
It's all about you and inside.
And people, they think, well, how, forgiveness is weakness.
Well, I didn't apologize to you.
Yeah, we didn't ask.
I've gotten that before.
You have?
I didn't even apologize to you. I'm like, well, I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
I forgive you.
Yeah, because
That's a great thing about that.
holding this stuff in is sickness. you're going to get sick.
Yeah.
You can't
For
sleep.
real. That
I mean,
hell
I
on
can't.
earth.
I can't sleep. I can't think correctly. I can barely function
Right.
without my best friend, this person I love more than any other human being I've ever loved,
Right.
because I have jealousy, resentment. I feel slighted. And none of this is patient. None of this is kind. It's envious.
No, it's all the opposites of what love is supposed to
and
be.
then I wanted to be proud and boastful. You know what I mean? It's like it was creating hell in my own mind. And so it doesn't matter whether the person accepts it or wants it or anything. I want it for myself and for them. I have to forgive so
You almost need it for peace of mind.
You need it or you will die.
Right.
You will get sick. You will have a terrible life. You'll age yourself. I mean, nothing good can
Stress
come
levels,
of it.
everything.
Your friends, your family, your kids, whatever it may be, will be affected by it.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, I was wondering, how can you let something like this go, or a person go that you love, right? Or a best friend that you love. You have to forgive, because anger holds you to people and situations. Resentment, jealousy, envy, pride. I'm going to show him revenge. All that holds you to the situation, and it holds you to the person, and none of it is love.
Right. That's delighting in evil.
Right. Yes. I'm going to get him. You know what? That's really good insight. All those things. I want to get him. I want to prove him or her wrong. I want to do whatever it is. None of that is love. That is delighting in evil. 100%. And when I was going through this, you make up the most dark freaking things, scenarios in your mind that
it's maddening.
It's maddening. And so I was like, we gotta tell people what love is, because love can look dark, right?
Yes.
And if I didn't at the same time, these catalysts, right? So we have positive and negative catalysts will be used to create change always, right? God knows you're stubborn. God knows you're stubborn, right? He had to take you all the way down, had to have all your friends and family. So God knows we're all stubborn.
Real quick.
You get in a routine, you feel like you're boxed in, and something needs to change because one of the other people or both of them aren't progressing enough. Mm-hmm. And God loves us all. And so what's it going to take for these people to move and change? And what's going to take to heal? And sometimes he has to remove things, just like we said, and everything must go.
It takes whatever it takes. It's God's will.
Right. And a lot of times,
he knows, and it's perfect.
And a lot of times because, it's a negative, it's a perceived negative experience or catalyst that does it. And so we've got some examples. And one of the crazy ones, one of the craziest ones in the entire Bible is Abraham being asked by God to take his son up to the top of the mountain and sacrifice him.
What?
Yeah. Because back in the day, there's all these false gods, right? This is how the story goes. Back in the day, there's all these and they all demand sacrifice, whether it's an animal.
Oh, sure.
Or
the blood of the goat.
Yeah, right. Or you're in the fields, you get your corn and stuff, you grew it and you offer that up. But for even more, to get your prayer answered even more, you would sacrifice. Sometimes certain religions, certain faiths back then would sacrifice children. And so God is trying to prove and show that he's different. So he asked Abraham, hey, take your son up there. You're going to have to sacrifice him. And this is a whole nightmarish scenario. Abraham's very close with his son, but he's like, well, God wants me to do it. I'm going to do it. Right. And so he goes all the way up there. So this is one of these nightmare scenarios, and he gets ready to do it. And then God stops him and goes, no, you are faithful. I want to let you know I'm a different, he's trying to, this is part of the time when God is showing how he's different than these false gods.
Right.
Right. And it also shows Abraham how great knowing the true God is going to be. We don't have to do these things anymore. And how terrifying is it to be under these types of belief systems that make us do these horrible things. And it applies today. How many of these horrible belief systems that we buy into make us think, say, act terrible things to other people? And this is a huge example of God using a nightmare scenario to show to show how loving he is, by Abraham being able to go, wow, I don't have to do this. I never had to do this. Now that I know the true God, that's very freeing. In the same way,
I feel like he would be on a more righteous path after this.
Yeah, because he values God.
Right.
He can kind of, in context.
Yeah.
If God didn't do that, would this particular individual be able to really wrap his head around how great God is, or how forgiving he is?
Yeah.
How he doesn't have, he doesn't want you to jump through these hoops. The only hoop is belief and love, right? And so in the same way, when I was going through this extremely dark period with my best friend, I had these nightmarish scenarios in my mind. And then when God brought me out of it, the current scenario is much more preferable to any of the false ones. And I immediately thought of this story of Abraham.
It's so much brighter now.
Yes,
the light
right.
is so much brighter now.
And the light is growing brighter now.
I like that you use the word different.
Right.
Because God's will is different than your will. Always.
And he's always going to do something different.
For me, it's almost the exact opposite. And that's why I have a hard time accepting it, is because your will and God's will are two entirely different things at all times.
I want to be best.
Especially if you're not aligned with Christ. And I told you this before when you're going through this stuff. Like, you're the only person I know that would be able to, deal with it at this magnitude and handle it, like, just because of the way you are mentally now and spiritually.
I appreciate that. And I just want
to. But I'm always here for you. If you do.
I want to be better. I didn't want, this darkness I've been going through, and this jealousy and resentment and this anger. It's just so exhausting. I had a revelation. The Holy Spirit told me that it was kind of a joke. The Holy Spirit doesn't joke very often, but every now and then you get a one-liner, and it was something that went like this. You know why God is good? Because it's too exhausting to not be.
Yeah.
It's exhausting.
It's so exhausting.
You know why God is good?
It's maddening.
Because it's too exhausting to not be. And it really is, guys.
Yeah, so if something happens that's in your life, right? Well, with your example, my example, any example, right? And it's hard to accept, or whatever the case, it happened for good, because God's will is always good and perfect, right?
Right.
And it happened to return you to a more righteous state of mind.
Right.
And align you more with Christ, your inner Christ, right?
Yes, the God within.
Would you say? You just said that.
Yeah, no,
I would. It's so much brighter now.
It's so much brighter now for me and my situation, and I'm almost certain for my best friend and their situation in different ways. Overall, I think yes for both of us. Yes. However, I still struggle with possessiveness. I still struggle with my jealousy. I still struggle with these things, but I do want that person. I do want my best friend to be happy and live a great life, and hopefully we can be best friends again one day. There's no one more they're they were the most important person in my whole world, and always will be to some extent, because I want to see them blossom and flourish and be phenomenal.
I know.
And I'm sorry that we got in a fight, and my best friend said some things. I said some things. They did some things. I did some things. And it's just, that's not who we both are. And I know that. And so at a certain point, you create a life with people. All right. You and I have been friends for 30 plus years.
Right.
I think it's 35. Anyway, we've created a life with each other in a certain extent. Yes, we're both heterosexual males. We're not married. However, I'm a big part of your life. You're a big part of my life. We've created a life together.
Huge.
Right? Yeah,
Yes.
we've created a life together. And
Yes.
so
Filled with love.
Right, filled with love.
Unconditional love.
Right. And so sometimes with other best friends, you may you create a life with them too. All your friends, you create a certain amount of your life with. And so with your other friend, you may have created a life.
Mm-hmm.
And you may have to lay that life down. That life you've created with them. You may have to lay that down for
In order
your best
to
friend.
love them.
For your best friend, so they can love themselves, so they can fill out their destiny. And so let's go into that verse. What does it say?
Right. Do you want to start with the most important commandment? Or do you want to just go into laying down the line?
You're going right into that.
Love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. That's John 15:13.
There is no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friends.
That's it.
For one's
That's the
friends.
greatest love.
You see, it doesn't say husband, wife. It doesn't say cousin,
friend.
uncle, because everyone's your friend. Because it's love thy neighbor.
Yeah,
Right?
that's the most
Right?
important commandment.
Because no one's getting married
Love
if they're
the
not
Lord
friends.
your God with all your heart. And the second is equally as important. Love your neighbor as yourself. The entire law and all the demands of the prophets are based on these two commandments. Love God, love others.
There it
and
is.
they're equal.
And so at some point, this friendship hit a wall where one of us had to lay down the life that we built together for each other.
Yeah.
And there is no greater love than that. That's wild. Everything must go,
Yeah.
right? And that can still be love. You may have to leave your best friend and leave the life that you made with that person behind in order for both of you to grow, or even just that person to grow. If you love them, let it go. How do you let it go? You have to forgive.
Right.
That's the only way to let go. Because
That is.
anything
That's the
else
key.
is holding on.
Right. And that'll eat you up.
This is love.
It's hard to forgive. I have a friend also that had a relationship where one passed away. And, it's hard to let. I tried to explain to them that, this whole verse, laying down a life for a friend. Because not only in addiction, but in relationships, when it's a codependent type thing, it's, it's not healthy.
It can be toxic.
Right.
And it's slow moving too.
Like in your case.
You don't see it coming.
Like in your case, it was just a codependent thing.
The friendship became toxic because neither one of us because the perception of no growth, no movement in the sense of how we needed to,
Right.
wasn't going to happen. It just wasn't,
It had
because we're both
reached its
hard-headed.
course.
It had reached its course where something needed to change for both of us. We don't want to admit it. We're best friends. God made it move.
Yeah.
And how did and he used something terrifying to make it move from both of
Right,
our perspectives.
And they do say this a lot, like, some of the meetings I go to or whatever in recovery and in addiction, that, one person has to die for the other one to live. I've heard this so many times.
Right. And it doesn't mean literally die, but laying your life down type.
Exactly.
Something's got to give at some point. And because we know all good things work. Oh, all things work for our good.
Yeah.
It may look bad, but we got the crucifixion. Looks horrible, right? Don't forget, Peter.
It looks horrible on paper.
But
look at the outcome.
Right, exactly.
The kingdom's here. You know,
even when they come to arrest the master, here come the Romans. They come to arrest, and Peter, the cornerstone of his church, his best, the alpha male, the guy who loves, pulls the sword, and Jesus calls him Satan in that moment.
Yeah.
So does Jesus not love him in that moment? Does Jesus? No, but Peter's acting like Satan.
Yeah.
Peter's getting ready to screw up the entire plan.
Right.
So Jesus has to rebuke him. That doesn't mean Peter is Satan. It means he was acting that way in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
This has to be done.
Right. This has to be done.
For all the sins to be forgiven.
Peter's not
to
Satan.
bring the kingdom back to earth.
Right? The Romans aren't bad guys. I forgive them, Father,
Peter
for they know not what they do.
He was in self-will.
He was in self-will. And he was in revenge mode.
Right.
And anger mode.
Right.
And can't see, when you have that, you can't let go and you can't trust God. Mm-hmm. And if you can't trust, then you're attached. Right? And that's not love.
No, that's delighting in evil.
Right. And then another terrifying situation is, Nebuchadnezzar, and he throws the 3 believers in the oven. And then the guards look in there, and then he goes, "Are those people dead yet?" When they're in the furnace, the fiery furnace, Nebuchadnezzar in the fire, and the soldier goes up there and goes, "Sir, Nebuchadnezzar's the king." Goes,
"Yeah,
well, you throw 3 people in there, but we see 4, and one of them looks like a son of God." Nebuchadnezzar's like, "What?" And the guys come out of the furnace. And they're not even singed, not even touched, but they were scared shitless before they went in that thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're just like, "God will protect us." I mean, what kind of faith is that? I mean, just, okay, we're getting thrown in the fiery furnace. Literally, it says in the book, it's overheating. They threw so much wood or char, whatever it was, in this thing that it was overheating. And they're getting ready to be thrown in there. 3 people got thrown in, but the guard looks in, he sees 4. Who's that 4th person? I think we know who it is. It's the master. Yeah. But the point is, it looks terrifying. But the point's not going to be made and no one's going to move, right? Nebuchadnezzar's not going to believe. He's the king of freaking Babylon. He thinks he's the business. He's not going to change. No one's going to change.
Right.
Unless this fiery furnace event happens, unless the lion's den happens, unless the crucifixion happens, unless Abraham goes up on the top of the mountain and tries to, and unless you go to the bottom with no help from any of your loved ones.
All this, I feel like everything, this is just a test of belief.
Oh, it is. Everything is.
It's
as
all
we know.
just a test of belief.
So
it's heavy. It's really heavy.
So my best friend, they're a listener, and this is dedicated to them. And,
nice.
I just want to say, I love you, and this is love.
This
is
love.
what it looks like, and I'm, that's what it has to be sometimes. Mm-hmm. But we're going to come out of it, and then we have the resurrection. We have so many good things to look forward to.
Right.
And
I should be the perfect example.
You are. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoy the new season. Season 3, episode 1, This Is Love. That's it.
Taking dubs.
Hey, we had a lot of fun. We love you so much.
Yeah.
I love you so much. And we'll see you on the flip side. We'll start being consistent again, too, okay? Although don't quote me on that.
No, we're going
No, I'm just teasing. Have fun, everybody. Purple Pill Show.